Welcome to the Quantum Business Briefs podcast, a production of the Quantum Franchise Group. This is your podcast for bringing the dream of business ownership to life. And now here's your host, William Huffine.
Well, hello, family. I'm William Huffine. I am your host today here on the Quantum Business Briefs podcast or vodcast if you're watching it on YouTube. I'm the founder of the Quantum Business Community and the president of Quantum Franchise Group. And this episode today is part of our series that we call Franchise Fridays, where we focus on one specific company in a specific industry that might just be the exact fit that you're looking for to make the dream of business ownership become a reality. So again, thank you for being here. Make yourself comfortable. We're going to go ahead and jump right into today's episode. So I just happen to be one of those guys who loves having a yard. I love having trees and lawn. I hate having bugs and all of that stuff. But I'm also the guy that hates taking care of it. I don't like mowing the lawn. I don't like trimming my trees. I don't like battling the insects and all the pests around my house. So I'm really grateful that there are folks out there who love to do that stuff, and they've built successful businesses, not just for themselves, but now they've built successful franchise networks doing that exact thing to take care of people like me who are both incompetent and just have no desire to do that sort of thing. But I'm happy to have one of those companies here on the podcast with me today. We are talking to Joshua Tree, and I have with me Dylan DeGroat, who is the Director of Franchise Development. Hello, Dylan.
Hey, how you doing, Will? Pleasure to be here. Excited to talk to you here today.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. Happy to have you. And I also have Joshua Malik, who is the founder and CEO of Joshua Tree. Josh, thanks for being here today.
Hey, Bill, thanks for having us on. Check out the shirt, right?
Entrepreneurs kick ass. I love it. I love it. Now I feel like I need to like turn this off, go put on a really cool shirt, and then come back and start all over again. But I'll spare you all of that drama, and we'll just roll with it. I'll let you be the cool guy here on the podcast. So hey, we're gonna have a lot of fun talking with these guys. Thank you to all the listeners who are tuning in and joining us here. I'd like to kick things off and you guys feel free to field my questions and the conversation however you would like between the two of you, but I'd like to kick things off with just an introduction of your company and tell us about the products and services that you offer. Give us that 30,000 foot overview to kick things off with.
Yeah, excellent. Hey, this is my opportunity to shine right here. So hey, it's pretty simple, right? We make home environments safe, healthy, and beautiful. We've been doing that for 18 years. We actually started out of this man right here, his 3-car garage in Hellertown, Pennsylvania in 2005. Started with, one crew going out, and he was out doing the sales. So like I said, safe, healthy, and beautiful. We do that through offering tree care, lawn care, and pest control services to our clients. So it's essentially with these 3 services combined, you basically get 3 different franchise opportunities built into one. So that's your value proposition as a franchisee, but it's also your value proposition for your clients, right? We're not just coming to the yard one time, getting to notice things. We're having repeat business. We actually have essentially 60% recurring revenue built into our franchise through our plant healthcare systems, our lawn care, and our pest control. And one thing inside of the pest control that a lot of people don't think about is we do mosquito, flea, and tick too. So that is another service out there that could be its own franchise in and of itself. And that's just a small part of what we do. We're really excited to be offering this. We just got our first franchisee up in Orange County, New York. We're really excited for him. His name is Carlos, comes from banking, right? Has no industry experience. And it just goes to show that if you are passionate about helping people, you want to be in that blue collar, industry, but you want to make a little bit of money on the back end. You want to be able to provide for your family, generate wealth. And hey, we're going to burn those suits and ties whenever you come on board with us, right? We're going to have like a bonfire. But that's what we are, and that's who we are. Joshua Malik, he is the founder and the owner. He's on with us today. So I'll kind of let him throw in there anything else he wants to say.
Dylan, you did a great job, and you really thoroughly expressed yourself well and letting the audience know exactly what we do. It's been a great journey. Dylan talks about 2005, obviously, and 18 years, we've built a ton of processes, a ton of systems. We have a really dynamic leadership team on both the consumer side, which is Joshua Tree Experts, and our franchise side. And, building relationships along, we call it a partnership, with people, Bill. And as Dylan said, we just launched our first franchisee, and he is bringing so much to the table and so much knowledge that it's helping us. We're going to develop systems and processes around what other people can bring to our table. So we've been doing it for 18 years. We have a really good, strong track record, and there's a lot of positives to the green industry. A lot of people don't wake up saying, "Hey, I want to be a tree guy," right? But our competition is very light out there compared to what we're building. I don't know any other company that's actually offering and developing a tree, lawn, and pest control company. So, you get a client that's calling in for tree work, and our cross marketing tactics are so good. Before 6 months, 12 months later, they're doing lawn care and pest control. So it's really dynamic.
Yeah, I love it. And as soon as you said that you started in a garage, my mind started spinning. Some of the greatest, most powerful companies in the world started in a garage. So you're in good company there. We're recording this podcast on a product that began in a garage. So
there you go.
Yeah, you guys are going to do great. So, in this space, there are a lot of options out there. And in my inventory alone, I have a lot of different lawn care, landscaping concepts, tree care concepts, pest control concepts. So you briefly touched on this in your introduction, but I really want you to take this moment to drive this point home. If a potential franchisee is out there shopping all of the different concepts in your space, why Joshua Tree? What makes you stand head and shoulders above the other franchise concepts that are out there in the same space right now?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So we did touch on it a little bit, but it's the service line, right? There's no one that can really compete with us when we talk about how much we're offering our franchisees, right? When you look at tree care, lawn care, and pest control, those are literally three, just like you said, you already have them in your inventory. Those are three separate franchises. And with us, it's not like you have to pay for each individual one, right? We actually start you in tree care. And then as you gain traction, as you gain that success, hey, we recommend the launch of lawn care with pest control. So it's something that you build into. We're not going to throw the book at you either. It's not like we're saying, hey, learn 3 different franchise concepts right off the bat. We want you to build that success, and we want them to have an understanding about the green industry before they get into all these concepts. But then every franchisee is going to be a little bit different, right? Some are going to be ready within a year. Some are going to be ready within 6 months to do those additional services. But there's really, even in the consumer space, when you talk about when you're out there and you're actually trying to sell these services to clients, there's no one that can really touch you in that either. We focus on what's called preservation, right? So we're about preventative maintenance, preserving trees rather than, just coming in and removing trees. Something that I know Josh will probably touch on here is, hey, some of the tree work that, insert guy's first name, tree service, the services that they provide, probably going to be mostly removal services, right? It's hard to find people who will come out and prune your trees in order to have that preventative maintenance. That's what we focus on. And not only that, we provide an experience for our client. One thing that, you call 10 tree care companies, you might get on the phone with, 1 or 2 of them. We have an in-house call center. It's going to field all of those calls for our franchisees. So they don't even have to worry about taking these calls. We'll do the lead qualification. We'll send it directly to them. And then also when we get into lawn care and pest control, we'll sell the work right over the phone for them. They don't even have to pick up the phone. They could go to sleep and wake up and have 10 more sales. And then we also have, so we know it's hard to find people in this industry, right? One thing that we did was about 2 years ago, we invested in a full-time recruiter that works at Joshua Tree. That was me, actually. I was the first one that actually did that. And we found that was so crucial to our success in finding people quickly and retaining them. So we actually offer a full-time recruiter to our franchisees, that individual will take all of their candidates, all of their job postings from posting the ad all the way up to the phone screen. So all the franchisee has to do is that face-to-face interview and decide who they want to hire. And then we even give them all the career ladders, interview questions, templates, everything they need to be successful and make that interview experience a great one. So that's the main pieces, the 3 services in one brand with 60% recurring revenue, the Joshua Tree Experts call center that's fielding all those calls, and then the recruitment support that we actually provide to them, taking all their candidates through the process.
And I would add to that's a great story there, Dylan. And you think about the scalable model, Bill, and you think about the recurring revenue side of it, right? One of the reasons that we launched lawn care and pest control was we want to build more revenue, right? We want to be able to grow the business, and it's like, hey, you hit a max out of market share within an area, right? So what else can you do different, right? Well, let's start offering lawn care. Lawn care alone, people think of us as just a tree preservation company. We want to preserve because, hey, you can only remove a tree once, right? That's a customer. We want clients. We want to be able to go back. So when we're pruning trees, we get to go back 2 or 3 years later. We prune them again. But it also gets us on the property to pitch them the other services, right? So it's like, hey, we're going to come out and do a yearly inspection. Well, hey, now let's talk about the lawn, right? But let's talk about these other groups of trees that we didn't look at. We also focus on smaller to medium-sized trees. So we're not looking at these large properties. Our demographics are a 15-year-old home that's when the landscape really starts needing nurturing, right? That's when you've got to start providing regular maintenance of pruning and tree and shrub spray and fertilizing to the trees. So we introduce that, and we really target market that type of client. The one thing Dylan said that was really important is you have to answer the phone. Our competition out there is a lot of mom and pop shops, right? They don't have the capital. They don't have the net worth to scale a business. They usually are 2 to 3 person businesses, and that's it. And one person is trying to run the office, run the sales, go out and do the jobs. They get to a certain amount of backlog work, and it all starts falling apart. They can't keep up on it. They really can't. Answering the phone is one of the most important things within this industry, because if you answer the phone and you're a tree guy, you have a very high probability of getting that job just because you answer the phone. Go out there, schedule the time, go out there, spend the time with our client. We spend 40 to 45 minutes on site with a client. And you know what? Probably 10 to 15 minutes, we talk about the job. The other part is building the relationship, right? Let them get to know you. People want to do business with people they like. And then the value there is we're not the cheapest company. We never will be. We don't want to be. We want to sell our value. And we have clients that have been with us for 18 years that say, I know your pricing structure. Come just do the work. Come do the work and then bill us afterwards. So we really have this job. We call it trademark, the Joshua Tree experience. And it is the sales. It's a sales process from first call all the way through proposal management, all the way through the operations, scheduling, through billing. And we sell on a lot of subscription. Our average property, we're on there 3 to 8 times a year. So we continue to get there. Our neighbors continue to see us. We put a job sign out there every time. They see a sales car. They see a technician truck. We do door hangers and cloverleaf the area. It's the marketing tactics that are very, very effective.
That's great. And I love the 3-pack here with your model. And, we may have a potential franchisee sitting out there listening to this who's thinking, yeah, man, I want to do all of this stuff. Sign me up. But you also mentioned how you kind of pace them into the different verticals within this franchise system. Are there specific benchmarks that you're looking for when you allow a franchisee to add the next portion of the business?
Hey, that's a great question. So we have different KPIs that we're tracking on the back end, right? So these are what we call scorecards. I won't list them all. There's about 24 different things that are important, right? Everything from, honestly, client experience, like a positive client experience, getting ratings on Google Ads, to, cash assets, like how much cash do you have right now? So there's lots of different KPIs that we track. And, we're not going to hold franchisees back if they want to scale. It's something where we've decided as a team, hey, if someone's ready to get into it, we're going to not require it, but we're going to say, hey, it is a good opportunity. Your business can fund this now based on your cash flow. But let's look at getting that additional equipment. What does it need to actually, get that up and launched? So there's a lot we do on the back end, as far as helping them out with that and understanding that. And all of this is in like that operations manual that we have, man. It's a very comprehensive operations manual we have. And that this is the kind of stuff that they're going to be aware of what we're tracking with them and kind of share it and just develop that as a team. So,
It's,
I was gonna, some of those, those KPIs, you got to think about how important sales are, how you can generate leads. Client retention's huge. I look at that honestly every single week. That's on our score, client and employee retention. Safety, right? How do you mitigate safety? What your training programs are out there. The nice thing is when you come in and you offer this one set of service, and let's just say it's an average a year before someone would launch into these additional services, you have a client base, right? So we start talking about our closing ratios are like 57%, I think, company wide. So almost out of 6 out of 10 jobs we're just about landing, right? Well, you still have those other 4 clients on there that maybe didn't take your tree care, right? But you're building this content of people, and that's going to be your marketing. That's who you're going to market to when you start launching your lawn and pest, because again, you're nurturing the relationship, you're building value with the client. Clients want to do business with people they like. And when you have one operating system, one company that's able to provide that, one billing system, they love that. We get raved reviews from people that say, I love going onto the client portal and I can see all the services that I'm having. I can pay for them. I can request them. Everything is communicated right there. Very effective.
That's great. I want to talk for just a moment about territory. So you just opened your first franchise up. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As you have franchisees coming into the system, how do you set up your territories? Do you have like a minimum number of households? Do you have a household income metric that you use as you're establishing territory borders? What is your methodology there?
Yeah, so we do a zip code cluster, which is pretty, service industry, that's pretty industry wide to do that. So it's zip code clusters of 250,000 in population. What that pretty much, in comparison, we were a 3 territory unit for 16 years at our corporate center. We operated 16 years out of 3 territories, 750,000 people. And so that's like our ideal starting point, right? When we look at that, we're looking at different demographics, everything from household income of, individuals between 35 and 70, because that's who we found to be these clients who actually purchase services, as well as how many homes are in the actual market, right? What is the value? Homes over 300,000, because that's something that we found specifically. Hey, someone at $100,000 house might not be purchasing these services. 300,000, that's kind of that tipping point where people will actually start buying. And then also, how long they've been in the home, right? How many homes over, have been established since 2009? Because again, Josh said, we go for those medium to large, small to medium trees that are established. That way we know we're not getting into a situation where there's a lot more liability with young trees, or anything like that.
Okay. Makes sense. So we're going to shift gears here and we're going to talk about a topic that is usually number 1 on a potential franchisee's list, and that's money. And we're going to talk about money twice in this conversation. We're going to talk about it on the earnings potential, but we're also going to talk about it later on as we discuss the investment in this franchise. So I want to set the stage for this topic by speaking to the audience here who may be brand new to this whole world of franchising. In the franchising world, every franchise system is required by the Federal Trade Commission to have a document called the Franchise Disclosure Document. And if you ever become a franchise candidate, you're going to get this document and it's going to freak you out because it's going to be close to 300 pages full of a bunch of stuff that a lawyer sat and wrote one day. That's what these things look like. But it's a very important document. It's a very valuable document, and it is loaded with all of the information that you need to make the best decision for yourself. One of the sections of a franchise disclosure document is called an Item 19. Now, the Item 19 is where the franchise system is going to share with you some actual financial performance information from their existing franchise owners. Now, although every franchise system is required to have an FDD, not every franchise system is required to include the Item 19 in their FDD. So if you're looking at a franchise system that does have that included, you're already going down a really good road here, because that means they're willing to share those financials with you to help you with your due diligence. And another thing to remember as you're looking at the Item 19 is it's not necessarily representative of 100% of the franchise locations or the franchise territories. It may just be a group or a cluster or what's called a quartile. So thankfully, Joshua Tree has an Item 19, and they're happy to discuss that with us today. So gentlemen, whoever would like to take this question, tell us a little bit about your Item 19 and what potential franchisees will see there.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this, Will, we're not only willing to talk about it, we're excited to talk about this, right?
Great.
Tree care industry, the green industry in and of itself can be very profitable if done correctly. So currently in our Item 19, thank you for kind of describing what that is. I appreciate that. We are showing, we have an entire full corporate P&L in there. So we're very transparent in what we provide to our franchisees. Not only do we provide a 2021 and 2022 P&L in there, we also have 7 additional tables of KPI tracking, everything from gross sales data to client count, service count, our closing ratios, average sales jobs, average gross sales for per service line. So, the total service as well as each individual service line, how many hours you're on the job, everything that a franchisee will need in order to predict that success, right? So one of the main pieces of understanding the Item 19 is during like the unit economics call. That's something where we actually give them a pro forma to be able to analyze their territory that we're talking about, use our Item 19 that we've actually given them all the information for them to be able to predict their own performance, right? Because that's crucial. How are they going to understand, hey, how much can I make? Right now in our Item 19, we are showing just over $249,000 in profit per territory. So as a corporate entity, we're a five territory unit. We did just over 1.2 million if we were a franchise location, right? So we took out those franchise fees. Without the franchise fees, the corporate area did just about 1.6 million. But yeah, so we were at 17.4% if you want to break it down to percentage points. But that's something where, hey, can be a very profitable business if you do it right, right? We have a lot of information in there for them, and we're super excited about that call. It's one of those calls where, oh, okay, that looks pretty good, right? It's always that kind of conversation. Josh, did you want to add anything else in there?
No, again, you communicated it well. I think that big number, when you think about 249, that's net profit. So, we really push, and not push, but we want to communicate that, when you get into this industry, the potential to scale and grow, be considering multi-units, 2, 3, 4 units, right? And how you can even scale from there, even, further down the road. We are very transparent because, again, going back, not a lot of people realize the type of wealth you can build within this industry. Huge tax advantages with buying equipment, vehicles, a lot of things. That's what a lot of high net worth people want is, I don't want to pay the government. How do I not pay the government? How do you do that? You buy more equipment, right? You use Section 179 to write it off. You can write off up to $1 million a year on Section 179 instead of paying in those taxes. So instead of saying, hey, I'm going to put in $150,000 to the government, no, buy more equipment, scale the business. Don't pay the government, fund and invest in yourself. That's what this is. This is a very, very large investment. And when you do it properly, you grow the business, and it yields very, very high returns for you.
Thank you for that information. And yeah, you guys, when I looked at your Item 19, I was like, wow, these guys are they're opening the books here. I mean, there's just a lot of information here that I don't often see in other item 19s. And just another teaching moment for our listeners here before we pivot away from this conversation. Franchisors are prohibited by the Federal Trade Commission from making any kind of promises, guarantees. These gentlemen or whoever you talk to in whatever kind of franchise system that you might be exploring, they are not going to be able to tell you you will earn $247,000 next year. Of course, they can't do that because, so much of this business is based on market conditions and so many other things that are outside of our control. But also, they don't know what you are going to bring to the table. They don't know what kind of business acumen you're going to bring, what kind of energy, focus, expense, discipline, etc. So I just want to make sure that folks understand when we are talking about the item 19, we're looking at historical data, which you can then use with the help from these gentlemen to build a pro forma, an estimate of what you're going to do. But there are no promises or guarantees about what you're going to earn. So thank you for being so transparent with that. I want to shift to another topic that is often very high on people's lists, and that is passivity. Do I need to be an owner operator, or can I be semi-passive from the onset, or semi-passive after a year? So what is the ideal situation for you guys? What are you looking for here with your owners?
Hey, Josh, I'll let you kind of touch the first one and I'll go for the second one. What do you think?
Yeah, what was the first one again? I'm thinking about them both actually.
No, I got you. Don't worry. All right. So, hey, so when we developed this, we looked at those two models. We have what we call the owner manager model, and we also have what's called, the executive model, that's semi-absentee. In our owner manager model, what that is, that puts them in the driver's seat, right? They're the face of the company. They're interacting with clients, building that rapport, developing professional relationships, and actually managing the crews, right? Going out there, ensuring that the crews have what they need for the day. And then again, selling that work. They're the person out there on the job, providing those quotes and that excellent client experience, just like Josh was talking about before. We also have what we call the executive model. I think Josh is probably the ideal model himself as far as what that that passive person looks like in this business, that semi-absentee. So what that model looks like for us is really delegating those day-to-day tasks to a manager-led team, right? Whether that's an operations manager, a general manager, or starting smaller and having it just be an arborist account manager, someone who's selling your work, but also managing the crews. Now, obviously, as they scale and as these franchisees grow, they're going to need other people. They're going to need other people in that leadership team to really run that. And maybe that's just divvying it out to the new sales guys. But really what they're doing is these individuals are focused on the vision and actually running the back end more of the business. How is the development of the business looking? Can we build rapport in a better way here? Can we improve the morale? How can we do that? Working with that actual manager-led team. But they're not directly involved in, the day-to-day operations. So, realistically, we believe that, our model will work well with, two different concepts, no matter where the owner is. Our first franchisee, Carlos, he is going to be in the business. He's going to be front facing, definitely that owner manager model, right? He wants to get out there and sell and help his crews be successful. But I'm in conversations with people all the time who, hey, this guy's going to be sailing in, Europe here soon, so he's not going to be around. Well, something that he really enjoys that we have is what's called AOT. AOT is Advanced Operations Training. It is an extra cost, as far as getting in this, but what that is, it allows those in a passive model, in a semi-absentee model, it allows that manager to actually train with us really as long as they need, whether it be 2 weeks or a month. They can actually shadow our operations team, our general manager here in the Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania, and also those department supervisors to see how those operations are ran, so that the owner themselves feels confident in their ability to actually understand what their daily tasks are.
That's good. All right. Josh, was there anything you wanted to add to that, or did we cover it pretty well?
No, Dylan did a really good job doing that. Um, both models work, as he said. I'm kind of living proof right now. I'm really launching the franchise system. I've gotten people in place from operations manager. I have a general manager that I speak to a few times a week. He's running the day-to-day business, and it's doing very, very well. Um, and I loved when I was in the business day to day. I loved learning arboriculture. I loved meeting clients. I loved going out and selling, being a part of the team. And, I loved both ends of it. And as you grow your business, you have different needs. So, coming in and starting as an owner operator is a great concept to do. And then fade into that semi-absentee, that semi-absentee model where it's like understand the business, give yourself a year or two to really, put that time in and understand and how hard, how much can you work? You had said it earlier. It's like, hey, you look at these numbers and that's depicted on a very good functioning team, right? How
Mhm.
good can you work? How much time are you able to put into this, right? Because every franchise system is going to be different. Every owner is going to be different, whether it's semi-absentee or an owner, general manager model, however they want to put it. How hard are you willing to work to make this the most effective for you?
Yeah, that's good, guys. Thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about ideal candidate. And again, I want to have just a brief teaching moment here with our listeners. I speak to potential franchisees every day who are looking at various industries, across the 39 industries that I represent. And a common misconception among people who aren't familiar with the franchise system is that they have to have the specific knowledge and skill set to do the thing. And what I mean by that is, I may be talking to someone and I may be representing Joshua Tree and talking about you guys, and my client may say, well, Bill, I have no idea how to trim a tree, that's 30 feet up in the air. I have no idea what to do when ladybugs infest somebody's house. I don't know how to do all of that. And what it's important for people to understand is that folks like Dylan and Josh and other franchisors, what they're looking for are business managers. They're looking for people who can come in and build a business, a profitable, growing, thriving business. They don't necessarily need you to be the guy out there spraying the spray to kill the ladybugs or climbing up, 50 feet in the air to trim a branch off of a tree. They're looking for business owners here who know how to find the people who know how to do that stuff and love doing that stuff. And that's their gig. And they get up every morning to do that. And you get up every morning to build this amazing business. So tell me, guys, when you're looking for franchisees, what kind of person are you looking for in terms of just their personality, their background, experience, work and leadership style, cultural fit, those sort of things?
Yeah, I know I've got kind of this ideal franchise. Like I say it all the time, right? I'm talking this piece all the time because it's such an important piece because we don't want just anybody. And at the same time, we think that, it's not the right opportunity for everybody. But I think, in our mind, what that is, that ideal franchise candidate, someone who, I touched base on this in the beginning, they enjoyed working in that blue collar environment, right? That's the environment that they thrive in. This is like a Friday after work with the beers. Let's have like a conversation with the guys, grow your beard out, kind of opportunity where, hey, I can still generate wealth, right? That's like maybe you're working in a C-suite executive position and you're like, I worked in the labor field when I was younger, or I grew up on a farm. And when I think back, I was so much happier in my life then, right? What I was doing then, enjoying the people that I worked with, those guys are just those are my people. But now I'm here and I'm making this kind of money, so I don't want to give that up. That's our person, right? This is the opportunity for you because you can get back into that, but you can still have the taste of the good life, as they say, with the ability to scale and operate a very profitable business.
Yeah, and some of the things, Bill, when we think about, a larger view, I love someone that comes in that's going to have our values. We have 5 core values at Joshua Tree: work hard, play hard, improve and adapt, reliable, team player, and find a way. And all they each have a very unique model around them. but someone that can believe in that is going to be someone that's really important to us, right? That we remember, it's a partnership. They say franchising is like a marriage, and we need to know that. They need to know that coming in. We're not a boss of each other. We are working together to make this, the best that we can make it. You got to think also a multitasker. I think that type of person that you're wearing a lot of hats at first, whether no matter what model you're doing, whatever position you assume, you are going to be making a lot of decisions. So someone that doesn't procrastinate, you got to decide, you got to move forward through it. When we think about, I'm a big on the disc profiles. I like dominant, influential person, right? We're not in a very salesy business. And I mean that. We're not door knocking. We're not cold calling people. People are calling us because they have a need, right? So when we go to them, you don't need to be salesy, okay? Most of the people out there are ex-tree guys, right? They really are. When they're going out to a property, look at tree work, it's like they've been in the industry for some time. Well, they're not salesy at all. Believe me, they're just not. It's not how their personality is. They were climbing trees. You know what I mean? They just know, hey, I'm old enough now. I can't climb no more. My body's, kind of beat up from it. So I'm going to go out. They're estimators. They go out there, they look at the work, and they estimate it, right? Well, when you can have some sales training, and believe me, the estimating part on learning on how long it takes is the easier part of this business. Learning some sales techniques on how to nurture that client relationship, how to build rapport, how to close on the spot. Those are some of the things that we teach you, right? But it's not very salesy. You're providing the need. Remember, answer the phone, go look at it. You got the job. That's just how it goes. So those type of personality traits. Technology is big in our industry. We use a lot of it. Our CRM goes from the first call all the way through proposals, management, the operations to finance. We have a very strong system. We're not handwriting proposals. Technicians are using their phones out in the field to complete jobs, right? Having some understanding of that would be really, really important as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a consultative sales approach is going to be a great fit for you guys. You're right. When you're not trying to sell somebody something that they don't want, or maybe they need it, they just don't want to pay for it, but someone who can walk onto a property and really offer a consultative approach to make this the paradise that it really is supposed to be, that we can help you make it be. So that's.
We got to remember too, like, hey, in tree care, a tree may have where someone can look at it and be like, it's very subjective tree care. One person can look at it and say, hey, I want to do $2,000 worth of work on it. Someone can say, well, I can do $500 worth of work on it, and the tree's good. You got to know your environment and really, hey, talk to the customer. What can they afford?
Yeah.
Why blow yourself out of the water giving them a $2,000 price when they can only afford $500? Hey, what's the budget? It's an easy question. What's the budget? What are we working with? I'm going to give you the best value for that.
It's great advice. And this is a really good segue into the next conversation, or the next topic, and that is training. As a new franchisee, as soon as you sign that franchise agreement and submit your funds for the franchise or for the investment, the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to be scheduled for training. So tell me a little bit about the training program that you guys offer.
Man, so it's no joke too. I mean, we just got started on this with our first franchisee, but it was literally welcome call. All right, let's get the onboarding scheduled, right? We have a super robust checklist of different things that we're looking for. We have a 120-day launch schedule, right? That's what we're working on. We want you operating within 120 days. What that looks like, a part of that is a lot of opening up the business, et cetera, getting all the legalities, everything kind of dotted and T'd. But the training specifically, what that looks like, you do a week here in the Lehigh Valley with us in our operations center. That's about 68 hours, right? What that does is it's rate split in half, essentially, between back end of operations, learning the management software, some of the different technologies, like Josh said, that we use. And then the other part of it is actually out in the field, going with our arborist account managers to learn how to talk to clients and propose these services, but also using that technology in person, right? How do I send this proposal after I've developed it with that client? So part of it's in the field as well and getting to see the actual operations from a tree crew. Then what we do is after that 68 hours, right before launch, right? So we have a specific launch date that we're looking at. And we've got some pretty creative and unique ways of thinking about that and what that looks like to make it successful. But we actually come out to their market, in their market for 2 weeks, right? What that looks like is 1 week is with our VP of franchise operations. He has been launching a different service brand for the past 6 years, 7 years. And now he's with us because he believes in what we're doing, and he calls us ethical tree care, which I really like. But anyway, so he actually goes out to their market and actually helps them launch their actual brand. And then we also have this man right here, Josh Malik, who is sitting in his travel van right now. And that's exactly what he's going to do as well. He comes out there for a week and he helps those owners understand what it takes to run a successful business. And that's why he bought his van, so he can drive all over the country and just be super cool.
That's great. That's great. And wear a super cool kick-ass t-shirt while you're at it. So. Oh, I love it. So, I get asked probably 3 or 4 times a month by somebody who's exploring a franchise opportunity. They say, well, Bill, why should I invest in a franchise when I could just go out and start my own tree business, or I could start my own pest business, or I could start my own taco truck? Why do I need to invest in a franchise? And that's where I have to explain them the business in the box model. With a franchise system, you are getting a business in a box. You're getting an established brand. You're getting years of experience. You're getting systems and best practices that are already dialed in and tested and proven that they work. You're getting all kinds of back-end support. So much is being handed to you in this box the moment you become a franchisee, that if you were trying to start this business on your own, you're starting from zero. You're starting with nothing, and you have to build all of these systems yourself. You have to learn everything yourself. You have to piece it all together. And in almost every case, you're going to spend more financially, more in time, and more in trial and error and frustration and feeling like giving up trying to do it on your own than if you just invest in a franchise system. So we've already talked a little bit about what is in your box. You talked about, we talked about the great training. We talked about the systems that you have dialed in. We talked about your call center. We talked about your staff recruiting part of this. Is there anything else in the box that we want to make sure that people who are watching this podcast know exactly everything that's in that box that they're going to get with Joshua Tree?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Josh, can you think of anything else currently that we haven't gone over?
Well, going back to that question, I'm going to say one thing, man. It's making mistakes, costly ones, timely ones. Growing the business over 18 years, I've been fortunate to make a lot of really good decisions, make a lot of really good hires, partner with some really good vendors. But I'm like everyone else. I'm human. I make mistakes, and I've made some that were quite costly to me, put some setbacks in the business at times. And that's one of the things that, you get into a franchise system for. The other thing is, the power of your vendor connection, which is super, very, very important, right? You got to think about the equipment we're buying. You got to think about the job products we're buying. When you're the buying power that you have within a franchise system, you're getting reduced rates. So while you might be out on your own and you're only buying one truck and the dealer is charging you X amount, well, now go to that dealer and say, hey, I'm buying 20 trucks this year and I want to pass those savings on to my franchise system, and you're paying much less, because we're talking about $100,000 truck that maybe now you're paying $90,000 for. You've made significant savings in there. So within that system, there's so many benefits of saving money that go from, hey, having that training box, knowing the right path to take. You have a support team that's here for every aspect of the business, finance and admin, operations, sales, marketing, that you're going to be able to partner with that franchisor that has the experience that can say, hey, I did that. That was a bad idea. Or you have that great idea. Let's run with that. That's an awesome idea. but you really get to avoid a lot of those pitfalls that I've made over the years, and I made them. I'm not
Yeah.
shy to say that.
Yeah, and one of the things people often overlook, or they just don't realize this, is the community that is there. Now, you guys are a newer franchise system, but at some point in the very near future, I feel you're going to be at 20, 30, 50, 100 franchise owners around the country. Now, every franchisee is part of a family, and I don't, that can sound trite and cliche, but it really is true. You're part of this community of people who are learning together, sharing best practices together, cheering one another on. That to me is just incredibly valuable. And one thing that I do like about a new franchise system like you guys is that and I think you mentioned this at the top of the conversation, your early franchisees are going to have an opportunity to play a significant role in helping you shape the future of the company. I feel, am I overstepping here? Or do you see it the same way?
No, absolutely. You're correct. I mean, that's honestly one of the big parts. We just did a webinar not too long ago, me and Josh, about the advantages of working with an emerging brand specifically. And it was one of those topics, right? Shaping the brand, right? Hey, there's a lot of, we came up with essentially 5 advantages to working with an emerging brand. But the one that really speaks to us is we want to improve and adapt, right? That's our value. That's one of the things that is at the heart of this company. And we're excited to partner with people who have been in COO positions of $16 million companies, have, ran and operated, brought up companies from 1 million to 7 million, been a part of that success, and then allowing them to come into our system and be a part of that growth and seeing where that is in 5 to 10 years. That's what's exciting. I've been with this brand for 6 years, and when I got here, we had 20 people. We have 70 people now, and it's exciting to watch this company grow. And I know without a doubt that as we get new franchisees on, like Josh said, we're already learning from Carlos up in New York. So it's just exciting for me. Josh, I'll let you add some more.
No, the franchise community and people that are buying franchises are, they're gonna be, specialists in different areas that are outside of what we can do. And while we're smart people, they're probably even smarter, So when they come in, it's a learning for everybody. It's doing what's best for the entire system. It really is. It's grasping onto a new concept. It's maybe doing some research and development on something, and how you project that, how you provide that to the rest of the system, where it's going to better everybody. We know that's a benefit to everybody. That's the power of franchising. It really is.
Yeah. And, there's a certain sandwich shop out there that I think I saw the other day. They have like 40,000 locations across the United States. And whenever you become a franchisee with them, you really are just a dot on a map. You're a number in a sea of dots on a map. But whenever you come into an emerging system like yours, you really do get to bring the best version of yourself to the table and help the company become the best version that it can be. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we also like to talk about that attention, right? You're one of 40,000. Well, you're one of 10, 20
right.
for the first few years. So that, right now, Carlos, 1-1. I bet you he's getting a lot of attention. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap up this conversation with one final topic, and we're going to circle back to the financials. And this time we're going to talk about the investment. So another teaching moment for our listeners here. When you invest in a franchise, typically what you're going to see is a investment range. It's going to be a low number to a high number with a line in between, and that is the range that you can kind of expect to invest in this franchise system. Now, why is there a range? There's 3 things that go into a franchise investment. The first thing is the franchise fee. The franchise fee is what gets you the business in the box. You pay the franchise fee, you get handed the box. Then there is the hard assets, the equipment, the supplies, the real estate if you're doing a brick and mortar, the furnishings, build out. all of that. And this is where that range it can get really big, especially if you're talking about a brick and mortar type franchise that involves real estate. Real estate in downtown Manhattan is a completely different price than real estate in Coleman, Alabama. So that's why you tend to see a pretty significant range with a brick and mortar system. The third component to a franchise investment is operating capital. 3, 6, 9 months of operating capital to make sure you have money to not just continue eating and having a roof over your head, but have money to invest in marketing and advertising and things like that. So those are the 3 components of a franchise investment. Gentlemen, let's hear about the investment range for Joshua Tree and kind of break it down for us.
Yeah, I got you. This is kind of my bread and butter. This is my piece all day, right? So our initial investment is broken down into actually 2 sections, right? So we have what's called the finance opportunity. That is $196,000 to $303,000. If we have franchisees who are looking to purchase equipment, right? What that is $400,000 to $636,000. Now, both of these investment ranges do include our initial franchise fee of $49,500 for that first territory. Now, as they purchase more territories, what's nice is when they get that initial purchase, that cost goes down per territory that they actually pay. We do offer a 10% discount off the initial franchise fee for our veterans out there. Super excited to work with them. We think this platform and this operations can work very well. I've been in the military, so I understand what it looks like, and super excited. We are our second franchisee might possibly do that too. So that's super exciting. And, one of the reasons that we have such a big gap there, it's the equipment, right? But the nice thing about the equipment is, hey, that is like Josh talked about in Section 179 for the tax advantages. That's like right there, you own something, right? Right. So what is it also doing? It's an asset on your balance sheet, right? Also, you can write down how much you're actually liable for in tax advantage parts. And then also, these pieces of equipment hold their value extremely well. We're talking chip trucks, chippers, heavy mason dump trucks, stuff like that. We actually just had a situation where we sold one for the exact same price that we bought it for 5 years ago.
Wow.
Right? So it just goes to show that the value in the assets purchased in this business is there. It's about $300,000 purchasing those pieces of equipment. We break out that 196 to 303 or the 400 to 636. The only difference there is the purchase of the equipment. If they elect to finance, what we've done is we've actually established a 20% down in 3 months of working capital. So that's why it's that 196 to 303. So 20% down, 3 months of capital. The big things for us when we look at initial, investment, what it is the marketing, which is about $20,000 to $30,000 for the first 3 months. So that's a 3 month, for the first 3 months, they have that funding up front for the marketing because we want to be robust. We want to be out there because the more you can put into marketing, the more your ROI is, right? And then we also have a decent chunk for working capital, right? So we've got right now for a territory starting with one crew, we've got anything from about $29,000 to about $52,000. That's your rent, right? That's your salaries. That's how you're going to pay your crews because you might not have that money right up front as you're getting services. Our break-even point is really about 5 to 8 months before you're really bringing in. So you got to have a plan for, hey, how am I going to plan pay these individuals that are doing this hard work and actually out there. So those are kind of the main pieces that we have. But obviously, by far, the equipment is that biggest piece. And honestly, the purchase of that is just incredible what you can do with taxes and also just having something that's resellable. You own it. So
yeah, that's good. Is there a minimum net worth requirement that you're looking for in a candidate?
Yes, we do. So we have 200,000 for liquid. That's what we think that will need to be in order to be successful. And then our net worth is at 500,000. One thing that I didn't mention that's really exciting is we currently have a promotion going, where, we talked about 3 territories is an exciting opportunity for us. We get excited when people want to own multi-unit. So we want to provide that opportunity for people with a savings attached, right? We have what's called basically they buy 2 territories and we give them the 3rd one absolutely free. Now we're not going to offer that forever, right? We're offering that till the end of the year, but that is an excellent opportunity to save $38,000 right off the get-go, and start with a territory that you can really grow. Like I said, we did 16 years in 3 territories. You can really grow that system and become very successful.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, gentlemen, I think we all did a pretty darn good job here today. I think we covered everything in a very thorough and an educational way. So and a little bit of entertainment thrown in for good measure there. So I appreciate, again, you being here. I'm going to let you just take the last 60 seconds or so and bring it home. If there's anything we left out of the conversation, now's your time to get it out there and show people why they need to seriously consider a Joshua Tree franchise.
Yeah, so I'll take about 10 seconds here. Hey, listen, education is free in this industry. That's what I think is super important. I'm here for the discovery process. As much as you love me, this guy right here is your starting point. He's the one you're validating with. So I'm going to let him take most of this time. So go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, the biggest thing is the trees are everywhere. They're a necessity to care for, 100%. This is a very scalable business. It's a very scalable model. It's simple to understand. It's simple to get into. Home services, you launch very, very quickly. You can do this from your home. You can run the business from your home, and you can be up and developing funds in 120-day launch. That's our long time. Our 60 to 120-day launch is really a very attractive model for someone that says, hey, I want to transition from my current job into doing something full time. You don't have to wait. Some franchises you're waiting 2 years, brick and mortar building and all that. This is a very up and just the advantages on the tax end that we talked about with the equipment. You really want to build wealth. You really want to get some equity into your business. You think you launch from a home office, 2 years down the road, buy that operations center. Again, building more generational wealth, more equity in the business. You're adding more vehicles, more trucks, right? You're paying them off. Now they're an asset on your balance sheet. You start the lawn care, you start the pest control, plant health care. You're pulling in job materials. They're sitting as inventory on your balance sheet. It's such a creative way and such a very smart way of building equity, building generational wealth. And I mean that. You are honestly building generational wealth. Great, great family business.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this is great for you listeners out there, you viewers out there. I'm William. I'm the president of Quantum Franchise Group, and I'll be the guy to make this introduction for you. There'll be some instructions down in the description here on YouTube, the description here on the podcast, on how you can take these next steps. Start off with a conversation with me, and I'll do a little bit of pre-qualifying for these guys, and then hand you off to them, and we'll make some magic happen together. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. It's been great to learn about your brand, and I can't wait to represent you.
Thank you so much, Will. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
Bill, thank you so much for the time and the invite.
You bet, guys. Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Quantum Business Briefs. I want to wrap up just by telling you a little bit about our sponsor, Quantum Franchise Group. We are a full-service franchise brokerage, and much the same way that a real estate brokerage helps an aspiring homeowner to find the perfect home, we help aspiring business owners or even experienced business owners to find the perfect franchise opportunity. We take an integrity-first approach. We are not in the sales business. We are in the relationship business, and we're committed to putting your needs first and helping you find the opportunity that is the absolute best fit for you. So if you'd like to connect, we'd love to work with you. Everything that we do at no cost to you. You can learn more about us at quantumfranchisegroup.com, or you can simply text the word freedom to 815-885-5475, and that'll begin an initial conversation. Thanks again for being here today. I hope you have an amazing today, an amazing tomorrow, and an even better day after that. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Quantum Business Briefs podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, text the word podcast to 815-885-5475. We'll see you next time, but for now, be well, do good, and make it an amazing day. Bye.